One tried to stop it after helping build it. One gave every secret to the Soviets from inside the lab. One hid her pregnancy to stay on the project. And one man's Sunday morning calculation made the entire thing possible. These are the scientists who built the nuclear bomb. Let's begin with the director who built the bomb and was punished for it, J. Robert Oppenheimer, scientific director, Los Alamos. He watched the first atomic bomb test and whispered a line from Hindu scripture, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." J. Robert Oppenheimer directed the entire scientific operation at Los Alamos. 130,000 people, 3 secret cities, $2 billion. After the war, the government he had served stripped him of his security clearance for being too liberal. The man who built next, the physicist who started the atomic age in a university squash court, Enrico Fermi, Chicago Pile 1, first nuclear reactor. The world's first nuclear reactor was built inside a squash court under the bleachers of a Chicago football stadium, and nobody told the university president it was happening. Enrico Fermi achieved the first controlled chain reaction on December 2nd, 1942, with a pile of uranium and graphite blocks assembled by hand. When it worked, a scientist opened a bottle of Chianti, the atomic age. Now meet the man who invented nuclear chain reactions, then tried to stop the bomb, Leo Szilard, chain reaction theory, and Einstein letter. Leo Szilard invented the concept of the nuclear chain reaction in 1933 and spent the rest of his life trying to prevent anyone from using it. He drafted the letter Einstein signed to Roosevelt that started the Manhattan Project. Then, in 1945, he circulated a petition among Manhattan Project scientists urging the government not to drop the bomb on Japan. 70 scientists signed it. Moving to the physicist whose letter started everything and who never saw what it created, Albert Einstein. The letter that started everything. Albert Einstein never set foot inside Los Alamos. He was never given a security clearance. The FBI considered him too politically dangerous to be trusted with the secret his own letter had created. Einstein wrote to Roosevelt in 1939 warning that Germany might be developing atomic weapons, one letter that launched a $2 billion program. He spent his final years campaigning against nuclear step forward to the man every physicist hated who got exactly what he wanted, Edward Teller, Thermonuclear Weapons Division. Edward Teller was so obsessed with building a hydrogen bomb that his Manhattan Project colleagues stopped giving him assignments because he wouldn't focus on anything else. He was the only senior physicist who testified against Oppenheimer's security clearance after the war, making him the most despised man in American physics for decades. He got his hydrogen bomb in 1952. He never recovered his reputation. Here is the scientist who gave Stalin the atomic bomb from inside Los Alamos, Klaus Fuchs, implosion design, and Soviet spy. Klaus Fuchs was one of the most valuable physicists at Los Alamos, and he was handing every secret he learned to Soviet intelligence from the day he arrived. His calculations on implosion design were critical to Fat Man. His intelligence briefings to the Soviets accelerated the Soviet bomb program by at least 2 years. He was arrested in 1950, confessed immediately, and served 9 now, the physicist who escaped Nazi Denmark and warned the world about what was coming, Niels Bohr, nuclear theory advisor. Niels Bohr escaped occupied Denmark in a fishing boat in September 1943 and was nearly killed during the flight to Britain when he forgot to put on his oxygen mask and passed out at altitude. He arrived at Los Alamos under the code name Nicholas Baker. The most famous physicist in the world spent the war quietly advising on nuclear design and loudly warning meet the man who built the uranium separation machine and drove his team to break down Ernest Lawrence, uranium separation, Oak Ridge. Ernest Lawrence built the cyclotron that made uranium-235 separation physically possible. and drove his team at Berkeley so relentlessly that several had nervous breakdowns. His electromagnetic separation process at Oak Ridge produced the enriched uranium for Little Boy. He won the Nobel Prize in 1939, before the bomb existed. After Hiroshima, he spent years trying to promote peaceful nuclear applications before dying in 1958. Next is the theorist who proved the bomb wouldn't destroy all life on Earth, Hans Bethe, Theoretical Division Chief. Hans Bethe ran the theoretical division at Los Alamos and calculated the explosive yield of the bomb with a precision that proved correct to within acceptable margins on the day it detonated. He also proved correctly that a nuclear explosion could not ignite the atmosphere and destroy all life on Earth, a question some scientists had genuinely been uncertain about before Trinity. After the now, the mathematician who invented the bomb's geometry and modern computing, simultaneously, John von Neumann. Implosion mathematics. John von Neumann simultaneously helped design the implosion mechanism for Fat Man and invented the architecture that underlies every digital computer built since 1945. He calculated the precise geometry needed to compress plutonium evenly enough to achieve detonation, a mathematical problem nobody else could solve. He did it while also founding modern computing theory in his spare time. Two inventions that permanently changed human step forward to the youngest physicist at Los Alamos, who cracked classified safes for fun, Richard Feynman, Theoretical Physics Division. Richard Feynman was the youngest physicist at Los Alamos and spent his spare time cracking the combination locks on classified filing cabinets, then leaving notes inside to prove he had done it. Security officers couldn't figure out how he was doing it. He watched the Trinity test without protective glasses because he decided the windshield of a truck would filter enough radiation. He later moving to the Italian refugee whose single measurement changed the entire bomb design, Emilio Segre, Plutonium Research. Emilio Segre was a Jewish Italian physicist who had been stripped of his university position by Mussolini's racial laws in 1938 while visiting Berkeley, and simply never went back. His work on plutonium's spontaneous fission rate was what forced the Manhattan Project to abandon the simple gun-type design for plutonium and develop the vastly more complex implosion mechanism instead. One measurement changed the entire here is the physicist who proved an atomic bomb was possible on a Sunday morning, Otto Frisch, critical mass calculation. Otto Frisch calculated the critical mass of uranium-235 needed for an explosion on a Sunday morning in 1940, sitting at a desk in Birmingham with his Aunt Lisa Meitner's theoretical work spread in front of him. His calculation proved an atomic bomb was physically achievable with a manageable amount of material. Before that calculation, most physicists assumed you would need tons of uranium. Frisch, now the engineer who bet Oppenheimer a month's salary, his explosive lenses would work. George Kostiakowski, explosive lens design. George Kostiakowski designed the explosive lenses that made Fat Man work. 32 precisely shaped conventional explosive charges that had to detonate within microseconds of each other to compress the plutonium core evenly enough to achieve fission. If any single lens fired even slightly off sequence, the bomb scattered rather than detonated. Kostiakowski bet Oppenheimer a month's salary that his lenses would work. On July 16th, stepped forward to the only woman at the world's first nuclear reaction who hid her pregnancy to stay, Leona Marshall Libby. Metallurgical Laboratory. Leona Marshall Libby was the only woman present at the world's first controlled nuclear chain reaction in Chicago in 1942, and she had hidden her pregnancy from project supervisors for months because she knew they would remove her if they found out. She monitored radiation levels throughout the experiment. After the reactor achieved criticality, she helped dismantle it. Her name appears in almost no. And finally, the man who discovered the neutron, and immediately knew what it meant for humanity. James Chadwick, British scientific delegation. James Chadwick discovered the neutron in 1932, and without the neutron, nuclear fission is physically impossible. He later said he realized immediately upon discovering it that an atomic bomb was theoretically achievable, and that the thought gave him nightmares for years before the war even started. He led the British scientific delegation to Los Alamos, contributing expertise that American physicists specifically requested.